Hello, my name is Xander. Welcome to Kanawha County WX. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a combination review slash overview slash testing some random things slash rambling about this 57-pound hunk of plastic, I think steel and probably lead or something. This is my Juliet Brailler. This was either one of or the first interpoint embossers made by Enabling Technologies. This unit came out around, I believe, 1992. They've been making Romeo since the 80s and other products since the 1970s, and rip classic Enabling. But this unit, despite being older than I am by over a decade, actually no, not quite, but despite being older than I am, the unit still works very well, and it still holds up somewhat in the modern day. But I wouldn't suggest going out and buying one of these. We'll get to that later on. But first, a description of the unit. The unit is, I believe, beige in color, measures really big. I'm not breaking out a tape measure or anything like that. And it weighs, mine in particular, weighs 57 pounds. In kilograms, that's
25.84
kilograms. So yeah, this thing is quite heavy, and not only is it heavy, it's large and awkward. It's quite wide and quite tall. It's a big rectangular box. Some of the later Juliet embossers, like the Pro 60 and other ones in that sort of form factor, had a sloped front end to make it look a little more sleek. This thing has nothing to hide. On the front of it, you just have a paper gap with the lid closed. On the two sides, you have some recessed carrying handles, and if I may, these are an issue. Because of the fact that they're recessed in, when you're carrying this thing and it's all 57 pounds, your fingertips are going to be taking the weight of it. I would have preferred either handles that would stick out, but that would make it even wider, or better yet, handles that you could pull, like, flip out, sort of like the handle on the top of a Perkins Brailler, so you could carry it easier when you need to move it, but fold it back in when you're done. But not there's going to be another one of these ever made. And on the back side of the unit, you have 3 ports. You have standard IEC power socket. This is the same type of 3-pronged socket used in a lot of desktop computer power supplies. You have a Centronics parallel connection and a 25-pin male serial connection. These are how you're going to connect it up to your computer. This unit predates USB by several years, and Enabling embossers didn't get USB for a long while. If you open the lid by pressing it on the 2 latches on the front of it and lifting it towards the back of the unit, you'll notice I knocked my water bottle off, but you get access to the interior of the embosser. You have a recessed paper well with tractor pulls, levers to move them. You have a 16-key keypad, which is a bit loose on mine. I need to adhere it down. I broke a couple of the clips that hold it in place while I was doing some servicing. But I need to deoxide it as well, because after 30 years, it's developed a little bit of a key bounce problem, which you'll notice once I turn it on. Unfortunately, it just happens with something this old, but small potatoes. You can feel where the carriage mechanism is because it sticks up about 1.5 to 2 inches from the rest of the unit. But you feed your paper through there, it enters through the front, exits out the back like most embossers. And they got a lid that is supposed to be full of foam, but that's something that I'll get to again in a moment. If you want to connect this thing up to a computer, you only have the 2 choices of the parallel or serial ports. If you're trying to use it with a modern computer, I would recommend, contrary to what you might think, go for serial port. I've tried this unit on a couple of parallel to USB adapters, and it's very hit or miss with them. I would recommend that you use a serial adapter and set the unit to menu number 2. This has worked for me very well on modern machines. I've embossed on this from a Brailler Apex and various Windows machines ranging from Windows XP to Windows 11. We'll be using it with Windows 11 today. So you can still work it. I got my unit from the school that I went to, the West Virginia School for the Blind. They had 2 of these units and a broken Juliet Pro 60 in storage that no one was going to be using and they were considering chucking out. Well, I just simply told them, hey, you're not going to be able to use this thing with a modern machine because I didn't think you would be able to. Turns out I was wrong. Sorry. And I was like, well, here, do you just want me to take it off your hands? And they were like, sure. So I took this. Now, the other Juliet Brailler is probably still there. And they had a Juliet Pro 60. It was an older Pro 60 revision with an earlier ET Speaks card, and it was parallel and serial only. But the unit had a fried electrical component. It was some kind of a diode used for regulation of the power going into the stepper motor for the carriage movement. We tried, and we could not find the proper replacement value diode. If you remove it, it would have less power regulation, and as such, the further along the line it would get, the more off it would be. It's a very bizarre way no real way to describe it, but it was weird feeling. So the unit was used for some spare parts, including its ET Speaks card, which I now have in my Romeo Attaché. But the first thing you need to know with these units is the biggest problem with them. Because these units are very loud, the whole section of the lid and much of the interior of the case was coated in adhesive-backed acoustic foam for sound deadening purposes. They're now coated in acoustic deadening adhesive-backed bread pudding. Because foam disintegrates over 30 years, especially if it's not been stored in the best conditions. This is a problem. This could lead to your interior of the mechanism and all that getting gummed up. For a while, I would have to dust the paper off whenever I'd open the lid, because there would just be foam dust rain down on it. Over a while, I have taken to removing the foam panels from this and my other Embosser, which, despite being about a decade newer, is also exhibiting foam faults. The best way to do it is just work it off with something like a flat blade screwdriver. It's going to come off in chunks. Well, some of it might come off in these sheets, but some of it's just going to come off in chunks. There's adhesive residue, but not much you can do. And someday I plan to purchase new acoustic foam panels to adhere in place, so the old adhesive isn't going to make too much of a difference. But now on to the unit itself. The unit embosses in interpoint braille on varying weights of paper. You can adjust the solenoid intensity so that it doesn't punch through paper if you're using some thinner stuff. The unit is capable of embossing on fairly wide paper. I know the Juliet Pro later on could go up to 17-inch width, I believe. I don't think this one goes quite that far, but this thing will definitely handle a stack of 11.5 by 11 sheets, which is what I use on mine. And it could do legal paper or whatever, like 12 or 13-inch width, I believe. You adjust the tracker same way you do in any other embosser. A little lever at the front, you flip it back, and then you just pull it whatever you need to do, and lock it back in place. I'm not sure if it can do graphics, and I'll be testing that soon. I know it does not have a built-in graphics test. Whenever we turn the unit on with no paper in it, what you hear there in order, you hear a solenoid test, you hear it firing each of its 8 solenoids. Move the carriage back and forth. You hear the post-complete sound. And then you heard it pull paper in and realize there's already paper, which is why it's... And that's your out-of-paper tone. This unit could not be optioned with ET Speaks, as ET Speaks did not exist when this unit was released in 1992. And I've checked, there is no ports on the board to add in a speech card. You'll notice the unit is fairly loud whenever it's even at idle. This unit creates energy stars, so it will not power down into a power-saving mode. Those fans are running full time, and it sounds sort of like a small server, but even quieter. There's 2 fans on the left side of the unit. They, not sure where all the air is coming, but the vents are on the bottom of the casing, so you do not want to set this on a carpeted floor or on a bed while you're using it, because that will impede your air circulation. So I will now load in some paper. Grab my box here. This is some 8.5 by 11-inch Braille paper from American Thermoform. Not sponsored, but they're honestly the best place you can get it, because this was like $50 for 1,000 sheets. And they're the only company. Everyone else is either reselling from other companies or they're just using paper made for other purposes that happens to be the same dimension as you need. This is specifically made in their own paper mill. And it's really good quality stuff. It's the industry standard for a reason. And again, it's $50 for 1,000 sheets. You kind of beat that nowhere else. Plus, they offer free matter for the blind shipping. So if you're blind like me, you can get free shipping, which is good because the box is pretty heavy. But I will now turn the embosser back on and set it to the top of form. So you're noticing there what I referred to as key bounce. So the reason why the key bounce happens is because there's a bit of grime in between the electrical contacts in the keypad, which causes a brief enough interruption in the electrical signal that the unit thinks you've pressed the button twice. So you interact with this keypad, with this unit using a 16-digit keypad. Numbers 0 through 9, a period, an enter, online, offline, form feed, line feed, and view. Now, whenever I say online and offline, that does not mean connected to the internet, it means connected to the line to the computer. So the unit has some built-in tests you can run. I know for the very least, you can go to the service menu and input 10E to get a keypad graphic and your current menu settings for all 16 menus. A menu in this unit is a collection of all the presets. And they give you 16 so that you can easily switch between different platforms. So you can have a set for your computer or a set for a note taker or whatever, and you don't need to reprogram every single thing. You just switch it on. Now I need menu 7 now instead of menu 6. Blam. But if I enter the service menu, and I tell it to emboss the keypad graphic in the menus. I just cut the power there because it's done. So what you do once your embossing is done, set the paper into the view position by pressing V. What you do is get access to the back end of the unit. Just walk up on the desk, so you can tear off the tape. And then press V to return it from the view position, then reset top of form. Easy. And version, the page that the unit produced has very firm, even after 3 decades, the unit is still producing very firm Braille. It says, firmware revision 1.28, 0, default menu 2, in case I'm using the serial connection, the Juliet Brailler control panel. And it has a very nicely done graphic showing in Braille what the keys on the control panel do. I'll set that to the side. So for me to connect this unit into a modern computer, this is an MSI laptop running Windows 11. You will need a 9-pin no-modem serial cable. This is the kind we typically use with printers. A serial adapter, and a 9 to 25 pin adapter. Because in general, there are 4 types of serial ports. 9-pin male, 9-pin female, 25-pin male, and 25-pin female. The connection on the back of this unit is a 25-pin male port. This is more common on dial-up modems and some older printers. Later Juliet units, to save space and aid in convenience, would have used a 9-pin connection. I will connect my speakers to my computer's audio interface. I'll slow down.
Slower, faster.
And if you do not believe me, this is a modern operating system.
Winver, enter. About Windows dialog. Microsoft Windows version 23H2 OS Gold 22631.4037 Copyright Microsoft Corporation. All rights reserved. The Windows 11 home operating system and its user interface are protected by space.
So the unit is now the unit should be connected to my modern computer. It's not quite yet. So I'll grab the cable that I need. So what you do is you first install your 25-pin to 9-pin adapter into the back of the unit. I leave mine always connected because this is the only 25-pin device I own. So what I'll do is connect your 9-pin serial cable and tighten the screws. Connect the other end of the serial cable into your USB to serial adapter. Tighten the screws. And plug the unit into USB. My desk is a mess. And so now the unit is connected. Next thing you're going to want to do is double check what serial port your adapter maps to. If you don't have the right serial port selected in your software, it no worky. So the best way to do this is to go to search for Device Manager in your Start menu. Then you want to open it. You're in a tree view, and you want to look at Ports, COM, and LPT.
Portable devices, ports COM and LPT closed. Ports level 2, USB serial port COM 3, 1 of 1.
So unit is connected to COM 3.
All depth.
So you'll want to remember that. You're going to want to open up your Braille translation software. You can use Braille Blaster, but it has issues with Interpoint. So I'm using an older copy of Duxbury. It's actually Duxbury 10.7 from around 2008.
Discard DBT 10.7 and DB. Enter. For your hotkeys and DBT, press Insert plus H.
So I will now open up a document.
Control N. File. New document type. Print radio button. Enter. MDI client. Untitled.
And despite being old enough that this program does not natively support DOCX documents, Modern Word, which has been used since 2007, it says support's coming in the next version, of course you have to pay for. It does actually support UEB and supports it fairly well. Not quite as well as the newer versions, but you wouldn't really notice.
Duxbury 10.7 only supports the English Unified Basic Table, not the LibLouis table used today. However, formatting markers and the other changes between EBA and UEB are still present. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it's a difference nonetheless.
So I will obtain some text. So I've obtained my new text, and I'll make sure my settings are correct.
Alt, enter, desired, 0, blank, alt is blank, 5, 7, enter, reduct 20, enter, dot can't, okay, can't enter, 26, desired escape, treasure, control enter, paste,
So I've got my new text in, and I'm going to double check my data on that.
enter, zip blank, 5,
I want 27 lines, and just for this, I'm going to do 0 top margin.
Enter.
Updated mine.
Provide start home, A-T,
Okay, so, now I got this. This will be a much better test.
Control E.
Oh, I need to translate.
Control.
Translate. Boss. Go.
Enter.
The unit has just embossed an interpoint document. It's quite loud. And it's not the fastest thing ever, but this unit produces, even after 30 years, still produces very good quality Braille, very pronounced dots, with no weird shapes or inconsistencies in the formation of the dots, dot heights, or anything. This unit is quite the tank. Now for one more test. I will create a new Braille document.
Layout. Picture subject. Add dot.
I will add a picture.
That's today. Yep. Last time. See Coca-Cola logo 1.svg74x23.save.
This is a Braille translation of the Coca-Cola logo done on the website. This is in 74 by 23 resolution.
Enter.
just for every possible chance.
So picture subscribe a line 2.5 millimeters, 2.0, 1.6 millimeters, dot resolution unavailable. 2.0 millimeters, dot resolution unavailable. 2.5 millimeters, dot resolution unavailable. Align right unavailable.
I don't know if I'm not selected on the picture, but I've pasted it in, and it knows this is a Juliet, what it thinks is a Juliet Classic, which I think is the same thing. We really don't rebatch it, but it says this thing can produce a picture. Oh my goodness. I didn't think it could do it. So let's take a look at our printouts. I did not think this thing would be able to do graphics. But it did! Holy cow! I'm so surprised I dropped my phone. So to get your printout, what you're going to want to do, well, number one, don't switch it off. Set paper into view. And just tear the page. And reset it from view. And so what we now have is documents produced by a unit that is older than I am, that are still very, very crisp and easy to read. Side of the page. Gwes Earn KNA Station Information. PDF. So I just formatted this for Discord, so. Okay, so the text did not come out good because it came from a PDF, so it is very, very garbled. So that is not the fault of the unit, that's just the fault of the fact that it came from a PDF, and I hate PDFs with a burning passion. But regardless, it was able to produce readable enough text that I can tell what it's, well, I wrote the document, so I know what it's supposed to be. But it's very well formatted, if you can read it. Like, it's putting bullet points and weird signs, but again, that's just entirely because this old version of X-Ray hates Finish Translation PDF. Okay, so the Coca-Cola logo is, I think it came out complete actually. It's not centered, it's on the left side of the page, but it actually managed to produce it. It's not the absolute highest quality, but the fact that you can tell what it is something. Considering this unit again, and this would have been a very early, I believe, graphics capable embosser. So, in terms of what I've done to the unit since I've owned it, other than cleaning the foam chunks out of the unit itself, I had one part break on me. It was the right little plastic paper feeder piece. It's a short piece of thin flexible plastic with little pins sticking out from both sides, which is responsible for, you know, grabbing the paper by the tractor and pulling it through. It broke. But luckily, that's actually one of the parts that's pretty standardized seemingly across embossers, because the one that's on there now came from a broken Braille blazer from a completely different company from later on. It's not the blazer I used to own, it was a different one that was left on too long and just completely fried. And I've had the mechanism part with someone else, and all the parts, they've been cleaned and oiled, but it still runs. And had I not done that, it'd most likely still be running. So this unit, would I recommend you purchase one? Most likely, no. There's other embossers that will do what this unit can do, plus more. The Juliet Pro 60 can do all of this, but it has ET speaks, higher resolution graphics, it's a later unit that's going to be a lot more reliable than this, somehow. And it's going to be lighter and smaller. But if you find one of these at a decent price and it's local, you can find a use for it. You can pick it up. Do not buy one of these online. Reason being, the embosser itself might be a little cheaper than a Pro 60 because it can't do as much, but the shipping cost is going to offset that significantly. Unless you can get someone to agree to ship it using free matter. But even then, I'd still say just stop the hassle and get a Pro 60 or a Juliet Pro. But overall, I'm very happy with this unit. This is... neither one of my embossers does really more than the other one. My Romeo is a little fast. I think it's a little faster. Actually, it was definitely a little faster, but it can only handle smaller paper, and it's single-sided. But it can just hook through USB, no adapter needed. This is my workhorse embosser. I've embossed volumes of Braille in this before. I've embossed like multi-volume manuals that I had to bind and all that. And this unit did that before the mechanism lubrication and all that. I just let it run for an hour and it produced a massive stack of Braille. And it was all good. Not an issue in sight. So again, would I recommend you get one of these? No. It's giant, it's heavy, like a dedicated place to put it. I've just sit on the floor, I'm not using it because it takes up so much of my desk space that the left 2 feet are not even on the desk right now. And it's probably crushing part of my laptop right now. But again, if you can find one of these locally and you have the space, and you have a serial adapter, it could serve you well. It could serve you very well, like mine has for me. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and do all that stuff. Anyways, if you like this and wanted to see more content just like it, just let me know saying, hey, do more blind text stuff. I could do a Braille 7.6 review, or a Mantis Q40, or the little new attache, or just do other things. Anyways, bye.